This is the Bat Flip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damian, David, and Matt. Welcome in, everyone, to a new episode of the Bat Flip Podcast. Damian, Matt, and David here with you today. We're going to be asking about some pressing questions about each division in the Major League Baseball. We have a couple historic performances that have happened this past week, and then we will go and give our player of the month or player of the season so far, as we'll also talk about our player of the day votes that happen on our social media pages. But before we get into all that, David, we missed you last week, so how you doing, and welcome back.
I'm doing good. I appreciate it. Obviously, hopefully we're back for a little bit here, but watching some good baseball. Had a nice weekend there last weekend, and hopefully this upcoming weekend's going to be really fun. We're going to like a food truck festival on Saturday. That's going to be kind of cool. There's a whole little thing in Naperville that we're going to try to go to, so I'm excited about that. But Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just had a good weekend and just hanging out, and that's about it. I mean, food truck sounds fun, David. But yeah, I'm just watching a little bit of baseball, and I finally got to watch some this past week, so that was nice. I went to Shane Gillis on Saturday night, so that was interesting. But yeah, so it's been a pretty good week. How about you, Damian?
Dude, I've been dealing with technical difficulties all week. It was even before the show it was happening. I wasn't sure I was going to be on today. So if I bounce out in the middle of a thing, just know that it is not me trying to leave. My computer's decided that it just wants to randomly close windows on me. So we'll see if that happens. But the week it's been fine. My team didn't play that well, so that was frustrating. My basketball team in the playoffs didn't play that well, so that was frustrating. But I did get my vacation planned here. So not quite booked yet, but it's always exciting when you get the thing on the books, you take the time off, you set the vacation time, and you're like, that's happening. So that was pretty exciting. But other than that, I'm ready to get into this episode because I think we're going to have a pretty interesting one, asking some questions about what's going on. But before that, we want to jump into a couple of the historic performances that we've had happen over this past, actually, it's really past couple days, actually. One Matt knows very well, and that is Eugenio Suarez had a 4-homer game against the Braves this past weekend. Didn't happen against the Cubs, so David can rejoice about that. And then we also had today, actually, Brandon Nimmo had 9 RBIs. Is that what he finished with?
Yeah.
9 RBIs in that, which was just an insane amount. He's already going to log in as our player of the day for tomorrow on that vote. But David, I know you pulled up some stats here because you wanted to talk about Eugenio Suarez since he didn't do it against the Cubs.
Well, luckily for me, I'm not going to talk about Eugenio as far as I'm going to leave that to Matt because Matt was watching the game, right?
I actually wasn't.
Oh well, Matt's Braves, right? So he knows what happened.
I've kept up with it.
I wanted to go through a little thing on 4 home run games because I don't know that I appreciate how rare 4 home run games are, and I hope I can share it a little bit because it has happened 7 times, I think, since 2000. Which is, one of those things where we don't appreciate how often it happens, right? But it seems to always happen in clusters. So I'm kind of wondering if somebody's going to break out another 4 home run game here in like a month, because that seems to be how it happens looking back. But I want to give you the names that have done it since 2000. There have been 19 total players that have done a 4 home run game in the history of Major League Baseball. But I'm focusing on the ones that we might know, because I think it'll be a little more entertaining. But the first one after 2000, Mike Cameron of the Seattle Mariners did it in 2002. And then 21 days later, 3 weeks later, Sean Green of the Dodgers hit 4 home runs in a game. So that the 2-week thing is going to be a trend. Carlos Delgado did it in 2003. And I love Carlos Delgado. What a great name from my childhood. And I'm sure some of you guys listening. But then you had a 9-year gap up to Josh Hamilton in 2012. I think we probably all remember that one. That was a pretty big performance against the Orioles. But then Scooter Gennett and JD Martinez did it within a 3-month span in 2017. So Scooter Gennett is one of the 19 players all time to have 4 home runs. And then JD Martinez, obviously, just kind of, I think he's retired. He may still be hanging around waiting for somebody to sign him here. But
waiting for a call.
Isn't he a pickleball player now?
Right. Maybe, yeah.
I think he said he was transitioning.
And then the latest one is Eugenio Suarez. So the Diamondbacks had the last 2 4 home run games in Major League history, which I think is really crazy at this point. This is like it's rarer than like perfect games.
Yeah,
is the 4 home run game, which is absolutely absurd, and that's why I wanted to note these guys. I can definitely recall the JD and the Scooter Gennett ones, and but getting to note Sean Green and Carlos Delgado in a Bat Flip podcast episode is kind of special for me. So that's awesome. Matt, what did you think of Eugenio Suarez doing it against the Braves and then ultimately losing the game?
Well, yeah, Eugenio Suarez is obviously a really good home run hitter. He's inconsistent, but when he makes contact, he hits a lot of home runs. So, of all the players that have done this, Eugenio Suarez is not particularly surprising to be on the list. But that game was crazy. I mean, obviously the Diamondbacks scored 7 runs in the game, and pretty much all of them were Eugenio Suarez home runs. I think he hit 2 or 3 solo homers, and they tied it in the 9th. It was his 4th plate appearance. They tied it in the 9th on his 4th home run. It was a 1-run game. He hit that one off of Raisel Iglesias. The other 3 were off Grant Holmes. And that was pretty crazy, but then it went to extra innings because it was 7-7 and the Braves won the run in extra innings. But what a crazy game. I mean, he just 4 home run games. Like David mentioned, we just don't appreciate him enough. It is more rare than a perfect game. Now maybe in the modern day of baseball, maybe it won't be as more rare than a perfect game going forward, but it's crazy. And congrats to Eugenio Suarez. That's one. He's a guy that is going to be remembered for a long time, and just in baseball in general. He's been a really good player for a long time, but he's not some kind of future Hall of Famer or anything. And this is the thing that's going to keep baseball fans remembering him forever. Just like we remember Scooter Gennett because he hit 4 home runs in a game. Nobody would remember Scooter Gennett if it wasn't for that. So good for Eugenio Suarez, and he's what is he, second in the league in home runs now after that one game?
Tied for first.
Is he at 10?
Yeah,
he's at 10 with Cal Raleigh. Yeah,
Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
So
Suarez I don't think we put enough appreciation. Like, he's going to hit 300 homers, like the 300 homer milestone this year. He's going to hit that. And you mentioned Scooter Gennett too. Scooter Gennett and Eugenio Suarez were both teammates on the Reds when Gennett did that. So that's also another little little thing to and connect the dots. And I agree with Adam right here. Tommy Edman, 4 home.
They don't play the Cubs again. They don't play the Cubs.
Doesn't matter.
It can't happen.
Tommy Tanks he's on. They're playing the Braves this weekend, so he's going to do it there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
I was going to say
probably Grant Holmes.
Just to add to what Damien was talking about with the Reds, the last player to hit 4 home runs in a game was with the Diamondbacks. It was JD Martinez in the half season after he got traded to the Diamondbacks. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. It's back to back, but you would expect the Rockies maybe to have 2 or 3. I don't think the Rockies have ever had one.
Nope.
But came close.
Yep.
I'm sure they've been close several times, but they came close just a couple weeks ago. And also David's first point with these happening in clusters. Aaron Judge was like 3 feet away from hitting 4 home runs in a game a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So he hit 3, and he flew out to the warning track. It would have been his 4th. Or actually, I think he hit it off the top of the wall. I think it was a double. He hit off the top of the wall. So if maybe it comes in clusters, like you mentioned. So.
Yeah. But we also had the Brandon Nimmo 9 RBI game that happened today. So I know it's kind of fresh a little bit there. We don't have time to really dive into a lot of the stats on it, but still just a crazy game there. So Matt, what your thoughts when you saw the stat line there from Nimmo having 9 RBIs?
Yeah, I mean, he went 4 for 6 with 2 homers. I mean, he had a grand slam. The craziest thing is after that game, he still has an 87 WRC plus for the season, which is kind of wild. He had almost as many RBIs today as he's had so far in the entire first month of the season. Before today, he had 12 before today. He had 9 today. So pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Nimmo's a good player. I'm sure he's not going to slump like this all year. And good for him. I mean, I guess probably a lot of it came off of the scrubs of the back of the Nationals bullpen because it was like 15-0 or something. But I don't know if a position player was pitching or not.
Yeah.
But definitely a good sign for Brandon Nimmo to kind of snap out of it a little bit with a game like that. Maybe gets him going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great performance. Obviously, a franchise type record is always fun and exciting to watch. But 9 RBI, I think the major league record in RBI is somewhere in the 12, 13 range.
Yeah.
So there's more work to do, obviously, but yeah, no, great day for Nemo. He'll almost certainly be our player of the game. I'm busy tomorrow, so I might just put the tweet out there at some point that just says Nemo won the player of the day. But yeah, that's a good one. Very exciting. Mets have been very good. We're gonna go through the divisions here and talk about them, but I think we're gonna kind of skip on the Mets a little bit. But the toss prevail here. The prevailing toss here is the Mets are like 21-9. I mean, through 30 games, the Mets have been the best team in baseball. And lo and behold, would you look at that, they spent the most money last offseason too. So, it goes to show you that spending money works, but having a really good like little clubhouse team there. I mean, Nimmo was a couple off seasons ago, and here he is still making really big impact a couple of years after signing that big deal.
Well, we'll talk about the Mets here in a little bit more, but later. But they had some under the radar moves too this offseason that has worked out really well for them so far. But I think that the spending money key is a good segue into asking about the pressing questions that we need to talk about here, and especially starting in the American League East. And our question basically here in the American League East is, Orioles, what the hell? Like, first off, you should have spent more money this offseason. Everyone and their mother said, hey, the pitching staff is a problem. You need to spend some money on that. And they're like, but we don't want to give up a qualifying offer, a draft pick. We don't want to give up any of our 37 outfielders that we have to trade for a guy like Garrett Crochet and sign him to an extension. We want to sign Charlie Morton and we want to sign Tomoyuki Sagano. And those have not been good acquisitions to this point. I was looking back. I think two of us predicted them to be the wild card team, finish second in that division. The other one predicted to finish third. They're not like we were expecting them to be the best team out here. I think we expected their offense to obviously be a lot better than what it has been so far, but I don't think we expected them to be 10-17 basically a month into the season. So, Matt, what the hell is wrong with the Orioles?
Yeah, as you mentioned, obviously they didn't really spend money in the offseason. And they lost the pitching. They lost Corbin Burns to free agency, who they very well could have brought back, and I think they might have tried to bring him back to a certain level, but they just couldn't get it done. The Diamondbacks were where he wanted to go, they've lost Grayson Rodriguez to injury. They lost Kyle Bradish to injury. So, and they just did not do anything really to pick up the slack. I mean, they signed a Charlie Morton who the red flags were bright after the last couple of years in Atlanta. I know his ERA last year wasn't that bad. It was the low fours, I think. But the lack of being able to throw strikes, the lack of repeating his mechanics at 41 years old was a problem, and they should have known better than to put all their eggs in that basket, especially if they are going to be strapped on cash this year. Like, that's not where you want to be spending your money. I mean, the Sagano thing is like whatever. He's a 35-year-old. They didn't spend much money on him, but they needed pitching. But I mean, the pitching's been bad. But the biggest thing for this team is that not only has that lack of spending affected their pitching, it's also affected their depth, and their offense has no depth. Gunnar Henderson has not been good, and he's been battling injury all year. He had that intercostal strain that cost him the first couple weeks, and he just hasn't really fully come back from that yet. I mean, they've had injuries to they had the injury to Jordan Westberg, who's now on the IL. It's just been a problem for them. Colton Cowser's been hurt, and their depth pieces just aren't all that great. Now Cedric Mullins has had an excellent start to his season, which is really the only bright spot for them. But I mean, once you get past Cedric Mullins, I mean, this team has just not been good at all. So they're 10-17, I believe, and their playoff odds have dropped all the way down to like 15% to make
15%.
the playoffs.
Man.
So this Orioles team, it's unfortunate, and it's not all their fault because they had guys lined up to be in this rotation that are now hurt and in their lineup.
Yeah.
They've just been devastated by injuries, but at the same time, if you want to ask what's wrong with the Orioles, injuries and lack of depth. So
Yeah. I mean, the name you didn't even mention, Matt, was Zach Eflin, who was very, very good last year for the Orioles and has been in his career too. And I feel like he was kind of a guy they're banking on. He's been hurt, right, when he's been very reliable before this. And then obviously Grayson Rodriguez. But, I look back at the offseason where Garrett Crochet moved teams, and the Orioles have some of the best prospect, pedigree players to offer, right? And he ultimately went for guys that were outside the top 5. Well, they could have offered a guy in that kind of top 10 area, and like a Samuel Basallo, and I don't know that this Orioles team would have missed Samuel Basallo. And that would have been a better prospect than the Red Sox got, right? So it's frustrating, but at the same time, right? Or rather the White Sox got, but it's frustrating because this team is a team that, like you mentioned, right, Damian, we picked them to go all the way anyway, right? We picked them into the playoffs. We feel like I feel like this team's going to turn it around, but I'm sitting here going, I feel like the team will turn it around. I think Sugano's had some decent games. I think he'll be okay as a starter, but he's a guy you want in your 4-5 spot. You don't want him pitching playoff games. So, as we look at here, it feels like a ton of remorse, right? When you spent $50 million on Tyler O'Neill and then you're telling me that the team is strapped for cash, I'm sitting there going, well, why'd you spend $50 million on Tyler O'Neill? Like, he's not only has he not been good, he's hurt now. But also you had outfielders, you had young guys in the outfield that can step in and play that spot. You sent Kobe Mayo to AAA where he felt like it was like a major disappointment instead of putting Kobe Mayo in left field and taking that $50 million and handing it to a starting pitcher that could actually help your rotation. This is this is just disappointing because I felt like this team is really good. They're prepped to go out and win, and they're just not going to do it this year. It seems like
it's very frustrating given the fact that a year ago we were talking about David Rubenstein, however you say it, taking over this team and being like, hey, this team's going to start acting like it can play, right? Like he said, like he's going to come in and he's going to look to win and he's going to look to do all this. And it's like, now you're a year in and you're starting to treat it like a business at this point. You already act like you don't care about the winning. You only care about the line that you make at the end of the year. And then you're going to tell us, hey, we're strapped for cash, but we're going to try and do this. It makes no sense at the end of the day, right? Like you did offer Corbin Burns a big contract. They did offer him a big contract. Yeah. You can't tell me that you couldn't have made a trade for Garrett Crochet and did that, right? You can't tell me that you couldn't have made a trade for Dylan Cease and even just had a 1-year rental at that point. Or last year at the deadline when you were looking for another starting pitcher and you didn't trade for Dylan Cease at that point when you could have. Like, there's just so many different things that, like, I hate it because I want the Orioles to be good, but the ownership, which we thought was going to take them to another level, is just came in and kept them at this lower level that we feel they shouldn't be at.
Yeah, and we don't fully know how much of it's the ownership strapping them as much as just the GM not spending the money. I mean, because as you mentioned, they offered Corbin Burns these deals after they had already signed all those other guys, so they were willing to spend more money than they spent.
If they were willing to spend more money, then they should have spent more money.
But everyone was gone by the time Corbin Burns signed. He signed late. I mean, there wasn't anybody else to spend the money on. And I would agree with that. I think my point is it might not be the ownership. It might have been the fact that Elias mismanaged the offseason too, partially. So
maybe, but you could have also made the fact that, like, you had a year plus to try and sign Corbin Burns and you didn't. And, like, you could have made decisions around it. There was rumors from the beginning of the offseason that they don't want to sign a qualifying free agent because they don't want to give up a draft pick because they think they're going to have to build through the draft for their future. And it's like, you shouldn't be worrying about the future. You should be worrying about now when you have a good team and you have a bunch of young controllable pieces that you can afford to spend some money on. Like that's the frustrating part. But anyways,
yeah. And I mean, I even think back to Well, the deadline last year was bad too, right? Stowers, who'd they get the Marlins pitcher too?
Trevor
That has
Rogers.
been
Trevor
Rogers,
yeah.
completely useless.
Yeah, that was a
Why were
bad
they?
deadline.
Why were they going after Trevor Rogers? So, yeah, just
Mhm.
mismanaged from last deadline all the way up through now. Like you said, I hate it.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump over to talking about the American League Central. And our question here is: are the Tigers this good? Are they for real? And if you are asking me this question, I'm saying yes, because I had the Tigers winning the American League Central from the get-go. I'm trying to see where David, you had them finishing second.
Yep.
And Matt, you had them finishing second as well. They are 18-10. Their expected win-loss right now is 19-9. This team is seemingly playing really good right now. Tarek Skubal looks like Tarek Skubal. They've actually got a little bit of a rejuvenated Javi Baez recently. I don't know if the full season stats look like it, but he's actually been looking a lot better recently.
They do.
He's got a 111 WRC plus.
There you go. David, are the Tigers for real? Are the Tigers good?
Oh yeah, the Tigers are definitely for real. And what's wild is if I told you Riley Green had an 86 WRC plus in April and was striking out 33% of the time, kind of running into those old contact rate issues that had been kind of the key for him as a prospect, I would have been like, no way, dude. There's no way the Tigers are good.
Here you go. Before, I don't know if you guys are looking at it, but if you had to pick the player on the team who's leading in WAR, who would you pick?
Well, I've already
Zach
looked at it.
McKinstry.
Okay,
It's Zach McKinstry.
You guys cheaters.
I'm so happy for Zach McKinstry.
We're prepared.
Cubs and Dodgers legend.
Cubs Dodgers legend. And then I think I did a tweet on it. It was like the Cubs shouldn't have, wired. The Cubs shouldn't have traded Cam Smith. The Cubs shouldn't have traded Zach McKinstry. He's been great. But what's really exciting is that Spencer Torkelson finally looks like a superstar.
Yeah,
like that's what's really exciting about this team. Like we projected that their pitching was going to be really good, and it has been. It's very much followed in those footsteps, but the offense has been actually really, really good. Headlined by, like you mentioned, Zach McKinstry of all players, who's running a 426 BABIP. He's not going to be this good, but Javi Baez has hit the ball very well, and he's playing center field, which is super fun. And then like Spencer Torkelson, Dylan Dingler, Kerry Carpenter, like they're getting contributions up and down the lineup. Like I envision this team gets a ton better once everybody starts playing well. But the most important development that could have possibly happened to open the season is happening, and it's Spencer Torkelson arriving as an MLB caliber star level first baseman.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going with it too. I mean, Spencer Torkelson is a huge deal. I don't think Zach McKinstry is going to keep this up. He's got a 425 batting average on balls in play. He's going to walk a lot, but he's not that kind of player. I don't know that Javi Baez will keep it up, but I mean, as we've seen with Javi Baez before, I don't know that he's totally zapped of talent. I mean, he's just he's Javi Baez, so
he's center fielder Javi Baez now.
Yeah, there's a world where Javi Baez continues to hit at a league average level this year. So, and of course, Riley Green will be better than he's been. But, at the same time, you look at like Zach McKinstry's not going to be this good. I don't trust Dylan Dingler to be this good either at the plate. He's got a 297 own base percentage with a 375 batting average on balls in play. Obviously Javi Baez's batting average on balls in play is really high as well. All this stuff will kind of even out. The thing that I will say, just to pump the brakes a tiny bit right now, is that the pitching has been pretty lucky so far. They've got a 2.80 ERA and a 3.70 FIP, which is still really good, the 3.70 FIP, but they've been a little bit lucky so far. Now the rotation is so good. Tarek Skubal, Reese Olson, Jack Flaherty, and then Casey Mize has been really, really good so far this year too. I mean, that's a big deal for them. The bullpen might be a tiny bit of a concern. You've got some guys in that bullpen who have performed a lot better than their peripherals show. So now they could just fix that by calling up Jason Foley, who should be their closer. I don't know what's going on there, but they do have some issues in their bullpen right now. But I think this team is definitely for real. I mean, with the way that the other teams in this division, I don't remember who I picked to win this division, honestly. But
Twins.
I might have picked the Twins. Yeah, with the issues the Twins have had with injuries and stuff, I would definitely want to switch that pick today, as of today, because this team should win this division.
Yep.
Yeah, it's questionable though. They have a guy so far who was their closer last year, and in 6 2/3 innings in AAA has not walked anyone. He has struck out 12.1 per nine.
I don't know what he's doing down there, man.
And hasn't given up a run while their bullpen's been struggling.
My
But
fantasy team is screaming.
Yeah, I'm lost on that one.
The real top, the top of this rotation. I mean, obviously we knew Schoolball was this good, right? Getting Flaherty back into a place where he was really good last year. He was a late offseason sign. That's a really good thing. We've talked about Reese Olson on this channel before about him being a guy who we think can be really good. He's proven us right so far. He does look really good. And even Jackson Jobe, is the peripherals don't look that great, but he still managed to get outs. It doesn't look great, but the stuff still shows that it's been there. So I'm excited about the Tigers. I believe this is real. Like I said, I picked them to win from the get-go. So I think the bullpen is you can easily make ads throughout the year and on the bullpen to improve.
Yeah, I want to point out one thing about Jason Foley. I lost this because he's in the minor leagues and it's not popping up on anything. He's on the IL right now with a shoulder issue. He's on the 7-day minor league IL. So, and I think it happened on April 17th. So I don't know what his outlook is on that, but he will come back when he's healthy, I'm sure, because he was killing AAA. I mean, which you would expect him to, because he's a really good major leaguer. So it's interesting. But.
All right, so let's stay in the American League and let's jump to the American League West. And our question here is, Matt prefaced this by the show when we were doing some looking. If we had to guess with the team with the second highest WRC plus in the league, who would we think it would be? And David and I took about 10 guesses between the two of us, and we weren't able to figure it out. So that really wanted us to make this question. The Seattle Mariners have the second best offense by WRC plus in the league at 125, only behind the Yankees at 135. So our question is the Mariners offense for real? Is this a real stretch? This is a team we all expected the pitching to kind of carry them. George Kirby's been out for the year. Logan Gilbert got hurt recently. And obviously that ballpark is really, really tough to hit in, especially for right-handed hitters. So that's always been a struggle. But so far to have the second best offense by WRC plus wise in the league, Matt, do you feel that this is real for the Mariners offense?
I don't think the Mariners offense is for real like the second best offense in the league, but I think they're better than we expected them to be. I mean, obviously Kyle Raleigh has been really good. He's always been good. He's not gonna wow you with a bunch of high average. He has decent on base because he walks a lot, but the power is for real. He's always gonna run a decent stat line at the plate. Jorge Polanco's killed it. It's a lot of bounce backs, really. I mean, Jorge Polanco's bounced back so far now. Well, he's not going to keep up this. He's got a 233 WRC plus right now, but he's hit 7 homers and 75 plate appearances, and he's been really good. So that's got to keep a look out for. JP Crawford had a down year last year. He's back to JP Crawford things. Got a 17% walk rate so far. That'll probably come down some, but he's always going to run a high walk rate, and he's been getting on base at a super high clip. That's really padded his numbers there. Randy Arozarena's bounced back so far, 129 WRC plus. He only has a 202 average, but he's walking a ton. He's hitting for power a little bit. A 358 on base percentage is really good though. And then Dylan Moore's been incredible, 164 WRC plus. I don't think that's going to keep up to that level, but he's always been a good platoon guy. So Mitch Garver's been pretty good too, 113. He's kind of a bounce back. So I think it's some of these guys that we expected to be better than they were last year, just kind of being what we expected last year. And then obviously the guys that were supposed to be good have continued to be good, except Julio Rodriguez, who has not been great so far this year.
Yeah.
I expect him to take a step forward as the year goes on. He's been really unlucky so far with his peripherals, but everyone else I think has been probably overperformed a little bit, but it'll all kind of even out. I think this offense is a lot better than we expected. I just don't know that I don't think it's the second best in offense. It might be top 15 instead of like bottom 10 is kind of my thought.
I will try to give some credit to the Mariners, I will give credit to hitting coach Kevin Seitzer, who was a new hire last year. This is a completely different offense, despite a very similar group of players. They have really revamped their plate approach to go for more walks, uh, cut their strikeout rates, but be aggressive in certain areas. I think that's what's really helping Jorge Polanco, because last year I want to say he walked a lot and struck out more and just couldn't get the ball in play as much. And I want to verify that. I mean, yeah, he was striking out a ton, and he's cut his strikeout rate by a large margin.
Jorge Polanco was also dealing with a major injury last year that he tried to play through, and he got the surgery to fix it this offseason. So that could be another reason why his specific turnaround.
Yeah, and I remember I was critical of Jorge Polanco returning because a lot of that, he didn't have success in Seattle type of feel was there. But between the new hitting coach, the recovery from the surgery, Jorge Polanco's a very good hitter. Like this is a guy who's formerly gotten to 121, WRC plus 4 WAR. Like that's very much a huge improvement to this offense. And I think Cal Raleigh's hitting is just super obvious, right? Like him hitting home runs is something that it's always going to happen. He's going to hit 30, like just about every year. He might get to 40 this year, the way he started. I like a lot of this. Obviously, Dylan Moore's not going to run a 160 WRC plus or whatever he's at right now. But the way the hitting coaches change things, right? Edgar Martinez is on the staff. That guy knows how to hit. It's what he did his whole career, right? He's in the Hall of Fame for it. So, I think this group is much more well equipped to handle the ballpark. It's more well equipped to handle the rigors of the season. And it's a group that is so good at pitching that they can afford to spend some prospect currency or potentially promote some of those guys as they get really close to the majors this year, because they've got a ton of really good hitting prospects in the minors right now. Either those guys are going to get shipped off for hitters or those guys are going to come up and hit. One of the two, because they've got a ton of holes on the team, but the holes are currently being filled by guys like Miles Mastroboni, Cubs legend, who just goes in there and walks. That's all he does. And it seems like that's kind of the process here. And it's leading to a really good team WRC plus, which is what you want. You want to walk, get on base any way you can. You've got guys, hitting for power in the lineup as well, something we hadn't seen out of this Mariners team. So, kudos to Kevin Seidler and this Mariners hitting staff.
Yeah, I think this has been a perfect start offensively for the year for the Mariners, because this team is very much predicated about Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez need to be the people to kind of carry them, right? Mm-hmm. And Julio Rodriguez is a notorious slow starter. If you look at his career through March and April, his career WRC plus is 91. He's at 103 this year, right? But for the offense to be doing this while he still is only barely above league average, if you get him into May, he's 122, then 106, and then you get him to the second half and he's like 160, basically from that point on. So for the offense to be doing this right now while Julio Rodriguez hasn't been obviously himself, which is notorious for him, I think it's a really good thing, because usually what happens is they kind of fall behind early and they try and play catch up later. And I think they're in a much better spot right now, where they also have had to do this because their pitching has been dealing with its own issues. So I think I don't think the offense is as good as what we're saying for sure. But like Matt said, I think they definitely have a thing to be a top 15-ish offense this year. Once you get into later years or later in the season where Julio Rodriguez really does kick it on, and a couple of these guys kind of fall back to the mean a little bit. But let's jump over to the National League now, and we'll start in the National League East. And it's kind of a two-headed question a little bit, because we want to say, can the Braves continue to recover? That's really the main question here. But also part of it is, are the Mets this good to keep it up? Like, can the Mets withstand the Braves recovering? I guess in a way, we can say it that way. Because I know, Matt, you kind of wanted to hit on the Mets a little bit.
Yeah.
And that allows us to kind of get both sides here.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, the Mets, they've been really good so far. The pitching's been really good, but the schedule's been a little bit of a weaker one so far. So we'll see if they're able to keep it up all year. But we did expect that team to be good. So I just don't know that their pitching's gonna be able to continue at the level it has so far. As for the Braves, they've bounced back a pretty decent amount. They were 5-13, and now they're like 12-14. They've won or 12 and 15
15.
maybe. Yeah, they lost yesterday, but they've they've rebounded. They've looked a lot better. Uh, there's some concerns still. The pitching has still got injuries. Ronaldo Lopez is out. Spencer Strider is out once again with the hamstring issue. So he'll come back fairly soon, I'm sure, that a month maybe. Lopez could be out longer. And then the lineup just got the problem the Braves have had so far this year is they're just struggling with runners in scoring position. The lineup's really not been that bad. They've got a 102 WRC plus, and they just aren't scoring. They haven't scored that many runs. So, Marcell Ozuna has been Marcell Ozuna. Austin Riley has been a little bit weird, but he's been Austin Riley for the most part. Sean Murphy's been incredible. That's a big bounce back that they've had. Matt Olson has decided to not strike out and to walk a lot, even though his numbers aren't quite reflecting yet what he has done so far. But the middle infield's a problem still. The left field's a black hole. Alex Verdugo's been a bright spot too. They brought him in late, and he's been really good in the big leagues so far. He's got a 134 WRC plus in his first 8 games. He's looked the part at the plate. So I think there's some good things. There's some things to like about what the Braves are doing at the moment. I think that the biggest thing is they're going to have to get healthy in the pitching staff, and they're going to have to find some bullpen. I mean, the bullpen has been really, really rough. I mean, especially once you get behind their top 2 or 3 guys, like Aaron Bummer's been good. Pierce Johnson's been pretty good. Daysbel Hernandez has been really good. But once you get behind those guys, like and Dylan Lee is good as well. But once you get beyond those guys, like Raisel Iglesias has had a rough start, and everyone else is just like they don't have that much. So that's a problem. They're gonna have to address it. But I think they're gonna recover to. They're not gonna overtake the Mets, I don't think, but they're gonna recover to a level of being a playoff team, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think they've done a really good job of already recovering. I think I thought it was going to take longer. I'll be honest. I really thought after what were they 4-15 or 4-13, like you said,
5-13.
Yeah, 5-13. Like I thought after a start like that, it could snowball so quickly, and it was the way that we had kind of mentioned was like, well, you need to get your guys back. Spencer Strider's only made 1 start. Like they haven't even gotten their guys back, but they've lost more out of this team, but they've still found ways to win. They've still gotten better performances. Obviously got Sean Murphy back. I think that one was a lot more impactful than we were anticipating. And the big one I think for me thus far for the Braves has been like the performance by a guy like Eli White, who has just come out of nowhere really and been excellent. Between him and Alex Verdugo, maybe the Braves can finally solve that. Is Eli White playing shortstop or left field?
Eli White's been playing left field because they sent Kellenic down. He's been awful. And I want to point out Drake Baldwin's been really good too, and he's still in the big leagues. And I do wonder if they're going to put him in left field at some point.
Right. So I mean, left field's been a big issue for the Braves lately. So it's like, finally, right? It feels like they've recovered, but now you've got to go chase down the Mets. I do think that's going to be a really tall task. The Mets have been an excellent team to this point, certainly a playoff caliber and potential number 1 seed type of team right now with the way they're playing, how they're galvanized, and that's with a somewhat slow start from Juan Soto compared to his career norms. But it just the belief that's going on over in Queens feels like it's going to be tough to overcome. But I thought for sure the Braves were going to we were going to be in June, and the Braves are going to be not near 500. They're already near 500. We're not even out of April yet. So, I feel pretty good about them.
And they haven't even had Ronald Acuna Jr. back.
Right.
Like they haven't had him back. They're turning back the clock till 2021 now with Eddie Rosario coming back too. He's going to fill the left field hole just fine. They can't have their first baseman back though, but still, I mean, it's going to be tough, right? Because there are questions still for both teams, but the fact of is there's still a gap there. I mean, you're still dealing with a 7-game gap. I mean, and we're totally at this point overlooking the Phillies, who are still a good team in this division,
right?
That they still have to overcome as well. So I think the Braves will make the playoffs at the end of the day. I think I picked them to win the division or at least get to the World Series or something. Like I still think this is a really good team. I think we all knew they were going to have a slow start with Strider and Acuna being gone. They were going to struggle to figure some stuff out. It seems like they're starting to get it going, and they just need to get healthy a little bit more. So if they can tread water until you get the two kind of superstars on their team back, that's where they got to go from there. So I believe it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about the National League Central, and really the question at this point is just, can anyone challenge the Cubs so far? The Cubs have been playing outstanding baseball. They are the second best offensive team by WAR so far this year, and pitching wise, they are 20th there. So that is kind of their little bit of a qualm there, especially losing Justin Steele for the year. Personally, I still think that the Reds are a team that has a very real chance. I mean, if you look at stuff, the Reds are 15-13, Cubs are 17-12. They both have an 18, or I guess the Cubs are 18-11 expected win-loss. Reds are 18-10, like off their schedule so far. Like there's a very real chance they could be almost tied for this division at this point. I still think the Reds are, but I know David's answer. But Matt, what do you think? Do you think that anyone can challenge the Cubs at this point?
I mean, I think not really. I mean, I don't think that. I don't believe in. I really don't fully believe in any of these teams in this division as World Series contenders. I know the Cubs have played really well so far. I don't trust their pitching fully. But nobody else here even scares me at all. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Reds are really, really, really thin, and the Brewers are not great, and the Cardinals have been bad, and the Pirates have been bad. So, I mean, I just don't. I think this is a pretty weak division, but I mean, maybe the Reds or the Brewers get really, really hot and stay in it, but I just don't think any of these teams are going to keep track. I mean, the Cubs are like your typical like number 2 or number 3 seed type team, and the NL Central just hasn't seen a team like that in a while, where it's like this is a legitimate like playoff contender. I don't think they're the favorites for the World Series or anything, but they're legit. Like last year, nobody in this division was legit. The Brewers won the division, but they weren't legit. Year before last, kind of the same thing. I mean, the Brewers won the division, but they weren't really like a legitimately like super good team. I think this year the Cubs are a legitimate team, and nobody else has really gotten to that level again. So I definitely don't really think anybody is gonna challenge the Cubs really. If a team does, I guess maybe the Reds, because they have so much youth that maybe it just takes off this year and everyone breaks out. But still, I don't know. And I do really like Nick Lodolo, and Hunter Green has been incredible too. I mean, the Reds have talent, but I just don't trust I just don't trust their depth. So
I was gonna say, you said my answer. My answer is absolutely. Like the Reds are definitely still on my scared list, and then it's the Brewers are the Brewers. Like I am never counting the Brewers out until I see an E next to their name in the final standings. Like the Cubs obviously have played great. They've not only have they played great baseball, they've also played the toughest schedule in Major League Baseball by far to this point. And they've only effectively played playoff teams in the A's, who are a 500 team. So like it's going to be really nice for the Cubs to finally play some NL Central teams. That is what 29 games in a row with 0 NL Central opponents. They're playing their first game against the NL Central tomorrow. So really, I have no idea how they're going to play against this group, because they've effectively been playing up to their competition all year and playing, effectively horizontally, right? We're playing against good teams. We're going to play like a good team. So I'm a little worried that the Cubs are going to play like a bad team against bad opponents. But the problem is that the rest of this division is pretty bad. And the Reds are definitely the best option here, but the Reds are being led by 2 guys named Austin, Hayes and Wins, who are both having just crazy good starts to the year. And then, obviously Ellie De La Cruz, but Gavin Lux has been really good. I got to throw Damien's little former Dodger guy some love here, because he's been extremely good so far for the Reds. Not excited about facing him. Feels like he's going to be like the leadoff type guy for them. I haven't seen much of the Reds this year, but I know the Reds are a good team. They got good pitching, actually, finally, for a first time in a long time. And this offense, it's being led by some guys that are having that kind of crazy April start.
Yeah,
but
I want to point out that Noelvi Marte has also been really, really good. Now he's only played 12 games, but he's been really, really, really good. And also, I don't think Matt McLean has done very much. He's only played 19 games. I think he's going to get it going at some point.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that Austin Hayes might continue to be pretty good this year. He's not going to be this good, but I don't think Austin Wynns is going to be very good. But I definitely like those guys in the rotation's been really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my worry with the Cubs so far is their pitching at this moment. Like the offense obviously has been great. It'll come back down to the means a little bit. Like I think some of those performance, like Carson Kelly's not going to have a 259 WRC plus on the year.
Probably.
Michael Busch probably won't have a 160 WRC plus on the year. Like there's some performances. Pete Crow Armstrong has looked great. A 138 WRC plus. I don't even think he'll keep that up. Like I think he's about a league average hitter.
Yeah.
But even
but his power and
little
his speed with defensively, like it doesn't matter. I think that. But if you look at the pitching staff, that's where the real concern is, right? Like Matthew Boyd has a great ERA, but his peripherals don't look great. You look at even Shota, like he has a 3.18 ERA, but his expected ERA is a 4.66, a 5.20 FIP. Like Jameson Taillon is about what you expect. Colin Rea is now their number 5 starter, basically. He has a 0.96 ERA, and his expected ERA is 3.03 with a FIP of 150 and an expected FIP of 3.07. Like that's still good, but
I
it's
have
just
never
not as good
converticized him.
Right? Like it's still good, a 3.03 expected ERA and a 3.07 FIP, but it's not as good as he's been, right? So I think there's definitely some room where they're going to back up kind of to the means as far as the starting rotation is as well. Bullpen's been pretty decent so far outside of Ryan Presley, but I think they'll be fine at that point. I think JV, you're shaking your head.
No, the bullpen's been pretty actually terrible, but they've had some like the big 3-ish in there has found a way. Ryan Presley also had to get his knee drained, but Porter Hodge has been good. Julian Merriweather had a bad game last game, but he's been okay.
Deal bar's been good.
They have been slamming through night options to this point. It's been a revolving door. I will say Ryan Brazier and Tyson Miller have both been hurt. Both of those guys were expected to be middle relievers to start the year. Eli Morgan is hurt and was atrocious before he got hurt. So
looking at it for as far as the bullpen, like Porter Hodge has been unlucky. Brad Keller's been unlucky. Miller Brothers good. Deal bar's been good. Like they've had good performances from the bullpen. I still think. So
to that I'll say they'll figure out the bullpen. I think that I'm excited to see the starting pitching against offenses that are not the Dodgers, the Rangers, the A's, the Padres, and Fernando Tatis and those guys. Like that's all we've played against, the Diamondbacks and Eugenio Suarez. Like that's all we've played against to this point. Let's see what they do against some normal teams, and then we'll see how that pitching shakes out. But I am worried about it. But I think that's where the trade deadline comes in.
Potentially. So let's talk to the National League West now. And the question we put is, are the Giants actually a threat to the Dodgers? And I think we should always put Padres and Diamondbacks there. But I think the real question is did the Giants find the 2021 devil magic again? Because that's what I think this is. That team won, what is it, 112 games or 111 games?
107.
Yeah.
Oh,
106. 10 something.
7. Yeah. Okay, 107. Yeah, because I think the Dodgers finished with 106 that year.
Yep.
I was doing too high. But did they find it again? Like, what the hell's going on? What was their like walk-off little league homer the other day?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, just crazy.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say no. I think that the Giants have been good, but I don't think the Giants have been this good. Jung-Hoo Lee has been a bright spot. That's been really good to see after he missed so much of last year injured. He's been awesome at the plate. Defensively, he's been pretty good in center, and he's also run the bases very well. He's been kind of a real well-rounded player. Matt Chapman's been really good as he was last year. Mike Yastrzemski's kind of been back, but I just don't know. This offense doesn't have a lot of depth to it. Willie Adames has been really, 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 really bad so far, which is not good. Lamont Wade's been awful as well, which is surprising. Now his batting average on balls in play is currently at a 135, which is almost impossible So I'm sure that number will come up as the season goes on. But it's been a rough. The offense is not real deep. They've been a below average team at the plate by WRC plus, which does include the park factor. I know this ballpark is notoriously a big time pitcher's park. 96 WRC plus as a team, and then the pitching staff is not very deep either. Now they've had a good start. Logan Webb has been like incredible. He's striking people out now, and the thought's always been if Logan Webb starts striking people out at a higher rate, then he's going to be a Cy Young contender, and that's what he's been so far this year. He's been, I mean, has he been the best pitcher in baseball so far?
No, but it's
I don't know
close.
about the best pitcher,
Yeah,
but close.
it's close. I mean, he's been really good. The thing that concerns me a little bit about the pitching is the walk rate is pretty high as a team, a 9% walk rate for the pitching staff, a little bit above at league average. But their numbers are good. They get the ball on the ground a lot. They don't give up a lot of home runs, which is very common for this ballpark, not to give up very many homers. But getting the ball on the ground helps too. So this team's been good so far. The pitching staff's been solid. I don't know that I trust this team, especially with the offense not really being able to hit. So, I mean, we'll see if they can keep it going. I think they're probably close to a wild card team, but I don't think they're going to challenge the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Matt. I want to point out that their closer, Ryan Walker, to start the year, he's got a 6 ERA. They've kind of reinserted Camilo Duvall into that role and are now kind of splitting it between the two of them.
Yeah.
Duvall's not striking anybody out either. This feels like a team that's kind of playing well to start the year before everybody figures out who they are and who to attack and how to attack the team. And, you know, there's adjustment periods in Major League Baseball. It's what we're coming up on. I think it's kind of that first big adjustment period for a lot of players, first big adjustment period for a lot of teams. I think the way teams are going to start attacking the Giants is going to be a little bit different. Obviously you're going to struggle a little more with Logan Webb, but, you know, Justin Verlander and Jordan Hicks should be guys that your team should try and go out and take advantage of in those like 3-game sets. And, you know, you got to get to, you know, the guys who are not performing particularly well in the bullpen either. So, you know, this Giants team feels like it's a little bit more of a mirage than some of these other good teams that we talked about. Like they have a pretty close record to the Tigers and the Cubs, but I feel a lot less strong that the Giants are going to keep it up as opposed to like the Tigers and the Cubs, because I want to note the Tigers, Riley Green hit a home run tonight already. So just for, you know, because we said he was going to come back, and Riley Green, I had to bring that one back. But, you know, as for this Giants team, you know, I do feel like there's a little bit of mirage going on here, a little bit of early season shenanigans, kind of like what we were talking about with the Austins, Wins and Hayes over there with the Reds. I don't know that this Giants team kind of keeps it up to this level, but I do think this team is a little better than we thought previously, and they're going to probably finish above 500, where I don't think I thought they were going to get to 500 before the season started.
Yeah, I think they're going to be close to 500. And even now, I still feel like they're the 4th best team in this division.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the Dodgers have played really crappy the past like 3 weeks. The Padres, they've dealt with a bunch of injuries and that they'll get healthy here soon with, you know, Arias missed some time with the concussion. You got, Merrill's been out for, I think 2 weeks as well. Cronenworth's dealt with some stuff. They'll be fine. I think the Diamondbacks, they'll figure it out as well. We saw them have offensive outbursts. Corbin Carroll's playing out of his mind. They've really just kind of lacked depth. Obviously, Ketel Marte's been out as well. Putting him back in that lineup is going to be another massive return there that's going to change their dynamic. I don't trust the Giants, but I didn't trust them in 2021 either. And they just found a way to continue to do it every single day. And I think we were asking in July at that year, like, when is this fall off going to happen? And it never did. So I still think they're the 4th best team, but they're a team that they find a way to do something and they get it going. It's not an even year, but last time it was an odd year too. So who the hell knows? Who the hell knows here? But I don't know. Logan Webb's obviously been great, but I think that this team's going to fall back to the means pretty quickly with some of their other performances. So that basically wraps up asking questions for each division here. So real quick, we'll talk about our players of the month and player of the day vote real quick. So we're each going to pick one pitcher, one hitter so far for the player of the season. I guess we should just say so far because that's basically a month. And then we'll have David at the end wrap it up with the player of the day vote so far. But Matt, so far, who has been your pitcher and your hitter of the month? I guess let's start with pitching first, then we'll go to hitters after.
So for bats, I mean, I get to go first. So I get to pick the guy that's been the best player in baseball this year by far. Aaron Judge has a 406 average in April, a 247 WRC plus. He's already hit 8 home runs. The strikeout rate has been cut again. He's still walking a lot. There's really nothing about Aaron Judge that makes you think that he's not the best player on the planet right now. Like he's crazy. So he's gonna be my my batter of the month. I've talked about him a lot. My pitcher of the month. I mean, there's some good options here. Paul Skeens is a good option. Jesus Luzardo is a good option. Logan Webb's a good option. But you know what? I picked Logan Webb to win the Cy Young this year. So I'm just going to pick him for this too, even though Paul Skeens is probably it. But I'm going to pick Logan Webb.
I like it. You want me to go, Damien?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I'll take Yamamoto from Damien for my pitcher because
I wasn't going with him anyways.
He's been absurd, and I am going to tell you, I'm looking more at what they did, right? I want to see a good ERA. So Yamamoto, and especially having watched Yamamoto way too many times this year, that guy is freaking insane. Oh my goodness. Watching that guy pitch, I can't believe anybody ever hits off him. He throws not 100 mile an hour, and then he drops a 90-something mile an hour splitter in there that doesn't spin and drops off the table. It's disgusting. My hitter of the month is going to be, I'm going to take Cal Raleigh. I think leading the offense that we talked about him a lot tonight, but leading an offense that we kind of described as dormant, wasn't going to be good. He's galvanized them to being the second best offense. Not to mention he is tied for the major league lead in home runs through April. I will take Cal Raleigh as my hitter of the month of April.
Yeah. Hey, I want to point out one thing about Kyle Raleigh. He's played every single game, I believe, for the Mariners. Just really rare for a catcher, even though he is good enough at the plate to DH some.
Yeah.
He's been an everyday player for them, so that's pretty impressive to me too.
Yeah. So David took Yamamoto from me, thinking that I was going to take Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and I wasn't, because I wanted to shout out somebody who we haven't talked about at all so far this year, and he's having such an incredible season. And I actually picked him to be my Cy Young dark horse this year, and that is Hunter Brown of the Houston Astros. He is second in WAR behind Paul Skeens by 0.1 so far. He has a 121 expected ERA, or a 121 ERA, 286 expected ERA, 181 FIP, and a 251 xFIP. Hunter Brown has leaped himself into top of the rotation starter category. He has done really since the June of last year is when he really took off. This year he's backing it up. He looks incredible so far. And we haven't mentioned him. Like, we've talked about Paul Skeens. We even have done Jesus Luzardo, Logan Webb. We talked about Mackenzie Gore. We have not talked about Hunter Brown yet this season. So he deserves some recognition, and I wanted to also shout it out because I did pick him to be my Cy Young dark horse, and proven that so far. So my hitter, I'm gonna go a little bit down the WAR leaderboard if we're looking here. All right, so I'm gonna take a guy who is tied for second in the National League, or in baseball, in homers. We mentioned him a little bit last year. He also happens to be 8th in Major League Baseball in WRC plus. That name is Tyler Soderstrom.
Yep.
I am taking Tyler Soderstrom. The start to the season he has been on. We mentioned him briefly in our players to watch for breakouts this year. He has been incredible. He's finally living up to the prospect pedigree. There's even this point where the Athletics have had Nick Kurtz that has to get called up, and they're looking to move things around so they can keep Soderstrom in the lineup, where past couple years, that wouldn't have happened.
Mhm.
Like Soderstrom has been a legit offensive option for this team, and I feel like he deserves the shout out for what he's done so far this year. So I'm picking Tyler Soderstrom as my player of the year, offensive player of the year so far.
Yeah. And shout out to the A's too for being at 500 still.
Yeah,
That's right.
Good start to their
very
season.
much so.
So kicking myself for not picking them all the way. Anyway,
One other note: the A's have higher playoff odds than the Baltimore Orioles right now. 17% to 15%.
Man. Well, with that somber note,
Crazy.
or a great note, depending on who you're rooting for.
Why do we hate Seth Lugo and Nick Lodolo?
We don't hate
real
Seth
quick?
Lugo. We're about to talk about Seth Lugo. He won Player of the Day.
Seth Lugo he's not Player of the Month.
Seth Lugo is 58th in Major League Baseball in just pitching WAR so far. He has a 4.42 expected ERA and a 4.60 FIP.
I do like Seth Lugo, but yeah, he has not been Player of
He's
the
a
Month
fine-
caliber.
He's a fine player, but not. to
I
this
hate
level.
Nick Lodolo because he threw a good game against the Rockies. And when I'm considering tiebreakers, I'm also considering who you're playing against for the Player of the Day. So if you're wondering why some guys aren't on the Player of the Day vote, it's because I went, hey, did he throw it against the Rockies? That's why. April 21st's Player of the Day, a winner was Max Meyer for 14 strikeouts for the Marlins. So that was a really fun one. Kyle Tucker won April 22nd's Player of the Day, followed it up with his teammate PCA winning his second Player of the Day vote on April 23rd. Jordan Beck got one there on April 24th. I don't think I put out the thing. I think it was busy a little bit on that day, but he hit 3 home runs over a doubleheader in 5 in 2 days for Jordan Beck. Seth Lugo won April 25th with a very strong day, as we were just going to get to Seth Lugo. 8 innings pitched for Lugo. Eugenio Suarez obviously won April 26th Player of the Day with the 4 home run performance. Tarek Skubal wins today's Player of the Day vote for yesterday for a really good 6 inning performance where he struck out 11. So, Matt, who's your Player of the Week of
Eugenio
these
Suarez.
7 names? Suarez. Damien, do you agree with Suarez? Or should we?
Well,
should you,
I was
you
going
give
to
me
say
another one.
I was going to say Seth Lugo until our comments
yeah.
here were just
Can't be Seth
haters.
Lugo. We hate Seth
I
Lugo on the podcast.
I was between Eugenio Suarez and Tarek Skubal.
Okay.
So if we want to go Suarez because of the 4 homer game, I'm with that. But Skubal just being flat out dominant, I'm sure he's going to get other chances to win this very much. So if we want to go for the 4 homer day, I think that's an easy thing because, like we mentioned, it is more rare than perfect games.
I'm in agreement with that. I think Eugenio Suarez has been a demon this season, and then he just forgot how to play there for 2 weeks, and then he's a demon again. He's going to keep doing it, but great to get him on the Player of the Week leaderboard.
I want to say a little Eugenio Suarez thing real quick because I was looking because I have Jordan Lawler in fantasy, and I've been looking through so much stuff about like where are they going to find playing time for Jordan Lawler with Marte coming back and that, right? There was a big majority, especially of like Diamondbacks fan base, that was like, cut Eugenio Suarez, get him out of here. Dude has like a 520 OPS. And then that was like Friday night, and Saturday he hits 4 homers.
Yep.
That was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Eugenio's an easy pick here.
Yeah, I think that's fine with me. Worth noting, the only guy who got to his second Player of the Day vote this week, Peaker Armstrong, he has been electric thus far this season. But overall, I'm really pleased with our voting stuff. We've gotten over 600 votes on these polls. They're coming out every day. I'm trying to make them come out around lunchtime. It doesn't always work out that way. Yeah. Tomorrow's not going to have one because Nimmo got 9 RBIs.
Nimmo.
Unless someone throws a perfect game tonight.
It's fair, right? So there's something.
Tell you he's not throwing a perfect game tonight. Bryce Elder.
Yeah. I got a message from another Braves fan who was like, would you want Bryce Elder on your team? I was like, absolutely not. I hear enough problems from him from Matt. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I don't think the Nippon Ham Fighters would want him on their team.
Anyways. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go to our social media pages. Let us know. Go to our Twitter page. Get on that Player of the Day vote every day. And then when David doesn't have it out by lunchtime, yell at him for that. But again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys back here next week.